With the release of Bango's open beta closing in on the 5th of September and the possibility of an early launch date announced at the end of the 3-day beta if it all goes well, I thought it was time to create a tips and tricks video in preparation for launch to help new and old players, so let's get into it. My first tip is to shill my own videos a bit, but I do have plenty of guides on my channel already for things you may need reminding on, like quests that you often skip on modern servers, but specifically I list items you might want to keep in the earlier part of your leveling that will come in handy later. These are really worth making a note on so you don't accidentally sell items you might want later. For tip number 2, I want to touch on the fact that Bango lets you pick between the old and the new UI. And with many people totally unfamiliar with the old UI by now, I would just likely point out something, and that's while I prefer the old UI, it is actually harder to track your attribute points while leveling compared to the new UI. So it might be more practical while you're moving around quickly and you're leveling quite fast on those earlier levels especially, that you might want to use the new UI just so it's easier to keep track, since the old UI doesn't separate stats you get from items and gear and all the rest of it. So my next tip number 3 is to vote. Voting in Bango will provide you with a 100% XP stone. As a low rate server, times 2 to be exact, with no XP events, 100% XP stone is massive. I would, however, wait on the day of launch to vote after the servers are live, which can easily be done by pressing R on your keyboard. Tip number 4, when you first log in, when you press escape to bring up the menu, you can find the other game setting. You can find method 1 and method 2 under HB and MP. I would recommend making those set to method 1 if it's not already, so that you can see your total HB and mana instead of nothing. While we're on the topic though, there is also a file in your folder called setting.ini, which you can make edits to if you're familiar with altering this preemptively. So for tip number 5, obviously Bango is a free-to-play server, so yeah, you can make as many accounts as you want, and you can also open up as many clients as you want. While it is thankfully no longer efficient to make billions of fishing accounts on Bango, it does still make sense to have one additional account at least. But before I explain why, I'd just like to say for new players, if you want to make an alt character, make sure you make that alt account, so the character is on an alt account, not on the same account. So yeah, you don't want to ever do that on the same account. This is so that you can log in your character simultaneously if you need to, especially if one character has buffs for your main character. You definitely want those on a different account. Anyway, I recommend making another character on launch day, and personally I think Knight probably makes most sense for what we're doing here. This is so you can level on the side. You just click a character, let it swing its sword and level up passively in the background. You could even do it with your main character and party if you like. The reason you want to do this is that you can set up a player shop at level 11. If you have a character at level 11, you can move it around and sell items while you're progressing and leveling, especially on launch day. It would be kind of nice if you're, I got a G32 drop for a class I don't play. Here's a shop with that item in it so that someone can buy it while you're progressing. So yeah, anyway, that's quite useful. You can take this one step further actually by leveling the character to 15 so that it can obtain an ancient animal, which you can level slowly while logged in. So if you didn't know, obviously while you're AFK, you actually do get ancient animal XP if you have one equipped. It's not as much as, well, actually, I think it's more in one go than killing mobs, but obviously it's much slower than if you're actively playing, since you get both the AFK and you get active killing mob XP for the eggs. So yeah, have a think about what other animal you might want to feel is useful to your character. Let's say if you're playing Expert Archer, maybe you want to start with a panther before moving on to a tiger, that kind of thing, so you put the tiger on the alt. So tip 6, my final tip for this video at least, is a mage trinket. So shout out to Redop for reminding me on this one. At level 30, every class can claim a class trinket after the first job change quest. This is an annoying quest, so I would check out my video on what you need to do for that. I think it's in the beginner guide. Basically, claim every item you can claim for this quest chain and just get it twice. And that way you don't have to do the killing of the mobs and getting all the items to drop twice while you're on your other character, which may be weaker. It's going to be a mage, so take that as you will. So why a mage trinket? Well, basically it has a lot of mana. In a server with limited mana meds, that is actually kind of useful for early game PvE especially. So when you get the chance, level a mage to 30 and then go claim it. You don't have to do this, but it does help. You can think about leveling your mage even more if you like, because one day you could use it to provide, you know, free G3 speed up to your main character. I think mage's max speed up might be level 38, but I could be wrong on that. So yeah, that about wraps up this video. That's it for now. I came up with these mostly off the top of my head, so there's definitely going to be stuff I missed. So if you can think of any other tips you'd like to leave for people, feel free to drop them in the comments. Hopefully I'll see you guys all September 5th, 6th and 7th, I think. It's all over that weekend for the beta. Make sure you're there, because obviously if we have a smooth beta experience, it means we get an early launch, which could be, you know, maybe the week after. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Anyway, see you guys there.